Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, and in my day job, I manage the Aviation Safety Program at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. Thanks to Alaska Public Media for allowing us to bring you hangar flying. This evening, we are pleased to have back on our show Jarod Hoogland. He's the new Executive Director of the Alaska Aviation Museum. Welcome to the show, Jarod.
Thanks, it's great to be back.
Jarod, you took over as Executive Director in December, which is just a couple months ago.
Right.
But I understand you're not exactly new to the museum.
No, I've been with the museum for about 2 years. For the last 2 years, I've actually been working as collections manager, so been in this stuff.
Okay, and collections manager, you mean?
I'm the one who takes care of the artifacts, the photographs, and the archives, and uses them to create exhibits. Yeah.
You're not sending
I'm not
out
collecting
the
loans.
bills. All right, thank you. And are you new to aviation?
I was new. First introduced to aviation when I started at the museum. I have a little bit of background in history as well as museum work. I have degrees in history and economics, but new to aviation. And really, when I first started, I found it fascinating, and I still do. The history of aviation in Alaska is wide, it's great, and it's so important to us as Alaskans that we really need to share more of it.
And you are not new to Alaska,
No.
so I think everybody that lives here for any length of time has some amount of aviation experience.
Exactly. Born and raised, third generation.
Wow. So what kind of changes do you foresee implementing at the museum?
Well, a lot of what we're focusing now is creating exhibits which are more interactive. We're trying to bring in a new audience, a younger audience into the museum. And really, thanks to a grant from Rasmussen Foundation, we're able to put in about 50 new exhibits this spring.
Wow.
Yeah, so for the first time in the museum's history, we're going to have individual personal signs for every aircraft and every major artifact throughout the museum.
Are the exhibits and the interactive activities going to be geared towards children or adults or both?
They're actually geared towards both. And so we're not foregoing physical signs. We're still going to have physical signage, but it now will connect artifacts to people through their histories. And we'll also have digital iPads that allow people to dig in further if they'd like.
Oh, wow.
It's really, the museum has been about the machine before, and it still will be about the machine. But we want to introduce the people behind it and the stories that really made aviation in Alaska alive.
So talking about the machines, are you going to continue with the aircraft restorations?
Absolutely. We're actually still in the middle of a restoration that's also sponsored by the Rasmussen Foundation, which is a 1942 Stinson L1. It's nearly finished, and it was a light observation airplane that was used in the Aleutians.
Is the intent for this aircraft to fly?
Absolutely. So it'll be in the air this summer, and really this is part of our outreach to give people a better step into history, because we're going to be able to give people rides in this aircraft. And so once you're flying in the same aircraft that used to do naval reconnaissance missions looking for Japanese naval vessels, it really brings a whole new perspective to the history.
Oh, sure. That's kind of a living, breathing experience.
Exactly. We want to be a living museum.
Great. Is the focus going to be more towards visitors to Anchorage and Alaska, or is it still going to be appealing to people that live here?
Actually, currently, most of our visitors are from outside of Alaska. There's still that intrigue about Alaska and its history and its ruggedness. So we're actually gearing a lot more of our focus to Alaskans themselves. Because Alaskan aviation history is so central to who we are as Alaskans, we want every Alaskan to come in and see that history.
Wow. So as for people that live here, even in Anchorage, is the museum still going to be available for rental? I think a lot of folks might not know about that opportunity.
We're actually expanding our facility rental process. And so really the museum has a lot of spaces that are ideal for facility rentals, and there's no better place to have your event than in the middle of all this history. It's a really, truly unique place, especially right there on Lake Hood.
And while people are at the museum for, say, a wedding celebration or some other kind of get-together, they're still allowed to walk around in that space and look at the exhibits and interact
You'll
with
get the full museum experience as well as your own event.
Very cool. What about the simulators? I saw something about new simulators.
Yes, we have new simulators. So we're using a new simulator that uses the Oculus Rift headset, which is a fully immersed 3D set. So once you actually put you in the cockpit of aircraft, whether it's civilian aircraft or military aircraft. It puts you in a pilot seat and it feels like you're there. It's an incredible experience.
That sounds like reason enough just to host a party there so that the guests
Absolutely.
can
It's
check
been
out the
very popular.
simulators.
We've actually given over 1,000 rides since we've instituted it last fall.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, thank you, Jarod. We've enjoyed having you on the show and hearing all about the exciting things that you have planned for the Alaska Aviation Museum.
It's been great, and I look forward to being back.
Thank you. We wish you a lot of luck, and we know that you'll do well showcasing Alaska's rich history.
Thank you.
This program was sponsored by the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. If you enjoy this program and enjoy hearing about what's going on in the aviation community, please consider becoming a volunteer with the Safety Foundation. You can contact us on our website or on Facebook to learn more about volunteer opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, fly safely.